Hi, it's Xavier and welcome to a bonsai retreat, and yep, we're going to delve into the second part of Tony's bonsai legacy trees. We've got the Silver Birch Forest to take apart. We've got the field maple as well. There it is. And I'll just give you a quick update on, there's actually a juniper and also the spruce. So without further ado, should we pull this thing apart? Believe it or not, if you can tell from my hair, it's a good few weeks later. Again, another week's worth of rain, and since then I've actually got to see a lot more buds coming out, so this is actually budding out quite a bit. Makes it easy to see where there's life, and easy. Bottom stump down here, dead as a dodo. That one, dead as a dodo, but we've got lovely shoots coming out from here. That could make an interesting clump. This big long one here has got life all the way along it. That's going to be an interesting tree. Unfortunately, not looking like we've got any life from down here. This one with a nice bit of movement. We've got a bud here and buds here, so that's good. And clearly from this one we've got buds as well. So I reckon we're going to be able to salvage something from this. Is it going to be a forest? Well, best you watch on, find out. There may still be a spinny in this. Maybe I'll spinny you a story. Oh dear. Cut. Okay, well, you know I've had my worries about the soil, and the trees certainly haven't enjoyed it that much, but let's just dig it up and find out just how bad it is. And I'm wondering whether it'll lift out like that. And if you have a look there, you can, if you have a look there, you can basically see it is just literally mud and looks like perlite. Lovely pot, but not the best soil. I won't go into great detail. I'm going to split these up just so we can see how they... Okay, well... Shocking. I think we can see there that that one really didn't do anything. There's a few straggly roots there. I will just do a final check right low down. And that's clear brown there, so that's no more for this world. But look at this. This is, I mean, this, it's not ideal, and the reason why it's not ideal is not so much the constituents, how well it holds on to the moisture. So if this was kept in a dark place or surrounded by lots of trees in that enclosed pot, lots of rain, this really holds on to the moisture, which is okay for some trees, but developing, well, it looks like little Yamadori stock here, definitely not. Now the difference here straight away is it's resisting my desire to separate it, which means there's clearly roots in there, maybe not loads. Okay, so we've definitely got roots there. I'll go around and get the rest of them out. I'm going to wash them all down and then bring you back when it's all nice and clean. Soil is going down the bottom of the garden. Right, well, not totally surprised. This little one here, it's got loads of little shoots on it. We've got some fine roots in there. A lot of these big ones here we'll just cut off. They're not going anything for us. So we'll get rid of them. But we have got some little feeder ones. So I will just try and shorten some of them and plant that up in a little pond basket and see what happens. Interesting. I mean, it really is pretty early. It's pretty well the same as dealing with freshly recovered Yamadori. You look at things like this, it's a great expanse of leggy growth, but you know what I want should be close in, and all I'm going to do is, I'm not going to be putting it straight back into bigger buckets, so I'm just going to cut right back and just see what we can encourage the tree to put out of its own accord. I mean, there is new little growth here, but it's so leggy and so far away that, you know, it's just not going to be usable. So hopefully what I can do is get some of this finer stuff and try and get just a little bit closer in. We have got roots from up here. They could be quite useful, so that means I could end up getting rid of all of that. And probably the only way that we can get to encourage those roots here, we've got some little ones here, up here, maybe here, so that we can remove this, is to actually tell the tree you can't use those anymore, so we actually get rid of them. There's a balancing act, because you take off too much and there's just no root for the tree to use. Okay, that's probably all I'll take off for that. But there's a whole load of leggy growth, so I'm going to do the other two as well. Come back to you. Okay, well, if it's not raining, the sun's blaring down. I know some of you have suffered in previous videos with sun glare. Hats on, so then you can see my beautiful features. Well, there you go, that little stumpy thing. Just gone into a finer grade of pumice and zeolite, 2mm, and there was some ragged roots there. I have every reason to believe that one will be absolutely fine, so I'll water that in and I'll just leave it, make sure it gets fed later on in the year. That could probably be quite interesting. We'll see how the shoots are. The good thing about silver birch, here comes the sun, is that it really is profuse with wanting to hang on to life, so it'll send out new buds like oak do from the base really quickly. So you know, you've really got to go really hard to kill the thing. This next one, we've got a reasonable group of roots here. I've cut quite a lot of straggly stuff back. Under here there are some roots and feeders, so loads and loads of buds low down, but also we've got quite a bit up there. So that one, spacing those roots out, you know everything is about pond baskets, especially with something like this, and I just want to make sure that any roots I have got there get sort of separated out, so at least we can try and get some sort of reasonable root base. Now what I'll say is it has got a lot of interesting movement, so there's a nice set of roots on there. I just need them to develop more, and I think 2 years in this pond basket, well fed, and this has got a lot of potential. Again, loads of suckers down here. I'm going to let them come out because I want to optimize every chance of getting solar panels to develop those roots. That's the only thing I'm looking at. You know, if we were looking higher up, there is an interesting thought for going this way and then up on this one, get rid of the height, and but to be fair, I don't need to make that decision. I just need to get this thing to survive, so that's what we'll do. Don't be so keen to try and cut some of this stuff back. I can see a lot of growth actually coming from right down here, but this looks a good line potentially. See if something comes from there. If I get some buds coming out here, then I'll take the top bit off, but we'll probably see that later in the year in the sort of June update. This third one we'll have a look at. Again, we've got quite a nice big hunk of wood there. Buds at the top, buds there, so potentially we've got movement in there, but we've got practically no roots on it. It's probably going to be planted at that sort of angle to try and get those to go. So again, what roots we've got, we want to try and spread them out. There's a root quite high up, but for now I really want to see if I can get that producing, although again that may disappear in the long term. I think this just goes to serve just another great example of the fact that, you know, Tony had actually collected quite a few nice little silver birches. He didn't, and this is meant as disrespect, it's some of the lessons we all learn, but he didn't take off as much of the roots as he should have or could have. The end result was what you end up having was long gangly roots sending out new feeders from a lot further away, which were never going to be useful in any sort of bonsai design. But worse than that, you then put it in really claggy, wet soil, which is pretty well a total organic garden fertilizer mix, and I know there's a lot of people who use perlite, and certainly I'm not going to say against it, but I much prefer the vermiculite rather than the perlite for actually giving you that moisture retention. The rest can then be inorganic. So that's that one. Potentially we've got a movement there, and then that bud going up is probably where I'm going to go for, or that branch there, and then we've got this up here. So, you know, there's a lot of promise for this one. And the last one that's salvageable out of the 7, this 4th one, we've got this, which is probably going to be the most difficult of all of them. It's got some reasonable roots there, and actually there's a root down there, which means once this grows I should be able to cut this top one off, but for now I'm not going to. There's a nice little root there that I quite like. Anyway, so we've got this, but I mean, let's not say we'll get more shoots coming out of it. We've got this big long straight with these coming up, which could, if you look at the roots being there and that gone, could work, but that's quite a straight bit. But I'm actually looking at this, whether you go downwards and create a semi-cascade on it, although I just don't see that in silver birch somehow, or we look at planting that way, so the curve will come up, and then we've got these ones to take over, and that's actually going to be removed. So options, but I'm definitely going to pond basket. I'll keep an eye on these. I'll keep them well watered, but I want them to be free draining, because the roots were just rotting away. Even the stuff that's left there, some of it I think is pretty rotten. So this is a really good argument for making sure you've got a good inorganic free draining mix. Certainly if you're looking to save the trees as bonsai anyway. Quite deeply buried. I don't want there to be any chance of sort of water washing away and exposing any of the roots that we have actually got. So there we go, that's done there. Get that watered in, come back, have a look at them, and then have a little chat about what Adam of notionbonsai has done with Tony's trees. Okay, well, there they are. There's the 4 of them. That's out of 7. To be fair, 2 of them have got fantastic movement. This little one could potentially make a really good clump, and quite quickly. They will grow quickly if they survive this, and there's no reason to think they won't. And this one, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. So that's the silver birch out of the way. Does not like wet feet, does not like claggy soil, unless of course it's in the wild, but certainly in your bonsai stuff I've always found they do best in a good inorganic free draining mix. So leave them in the bottom of the garden and let them recover. I have every reason to think they're going to be great. I've also got a fantastic new big green pot for something, not sure what though. Now I did mention that Adam of notionbonsai, we all know Adam, he also had a couple of Tony's trees. He had a juniper, which you're seeing in a little black pot, which he took out, potted that up basically. He's going to do the styling later in the year. And he also had a sycamore, which you can see he's done a little bit of work on the trunk, did all the root work, and again has put that into a new pot. But if you want to see more of that, Adam actually did a post, so go and check out his site. I'm sure you know where it is, and you can have a look at the post in more detail. Now, the only other person that I've had an update from, really, you've seen Jason and his update on silver birches, but Alex Braunton, he also picked up a couple of trees, one of being a Katsura maple, which hopefully you've seen pictures of now as well, and he's done quite a bit of chop work on that too. So if anyone else did have some updates and just time got past you, don't worry about it. Send me through whatever you've got, whether it's photos, whether it's a bit of video, and I'll make sure to include it when we next do the updates, which could be sometime around June, July. Have we got anything else to look at? Well, of course we do. We've got to go and dig out that field maple, which I really think is going to be an absolute winner and the prize of the bunch. So we head over and do that. Just a little spoiler, I actually did it 10 days ago. Okay, well I don't know about you, but that silver birch forest was a bit traumatic for me, because we all know what it looked like before, and I'd like to blame myself, but it was already struggling before I even got hold of it. But anyway, let's have some happy news. This is probably one of the best that I got from Tony. Let's have a look at it, shall we? There it is. As you know, I did some real heavy trunk chops on it. This is the bit that I want, and we're looking to have this as a show-in. Lots of roots in there, so we're going to be teasing those out. That's how it's looking now. And what I can say is this branch back here is probably going to be used for healing, because I like this one a lot better. We'll go up close so you can see the little mini buds that haven't opened up yet. Follow this around. I like this. On here we've got little buds there and there. That's where I want them from, so that'll go. Up here there's a little weeny one there, but I actually want this. I like the thickness in relation to that. So we've got some buds from points here, here, loads of little ones to choose from. So we're just going to let those burst to see what grows. I like the way this rolls up here, and just up here we've got 1, 2 buds there. Now that's not to say that this can't still make a good branch as well. What I don't like about it is it almost runs 180 degrees in line with this one here. So I'm very aware that could be an issue. And also it just doesn't come out from here, it comes out like a U. So I don't quite like that as much. So what we'll be using this for primarily is, I think, to heal here. And it may well be that this one goes and it's just going to be these two. But right now, let's have a look at the soil. Yeah, I could have a go at cutting this in half with a saw, but in this instance I want to be very, very certain of the roots, so I'm actually going to tease them all out. The good thing about a field maple, a little bit like a trident, very, very tough and hardy, and I've got some rain coming, so we're going to stop for now. Here comes the rain again. There was a 2-hour break there for the rain, but this is where you start discovering the realities of some of the Yamadori material you get. Thankfully, taper won't be an issue here, but what you've got here, if you have a look, is you've got these higher roots, then you've got a second root plane here, and actually if you go further down there's a third root plane there, which means you've got to start making decisions and sorting out what roots you're going to remove and how far down you're going to go. And you're always guided by how much taper or inverse taper potentially you're going to have in the trunk. Although it's not a big issue, sometimes it can be here, but there's clearly a few things I can do straight away. We've got this great big one here and this one here. There's one underneath it, so we'll take this one away. I'm going to leave the stub for now. Same here. I'd imagine there'd be no problem doing a root cutting from that. I think I was looking there for the front, somewhere there. So you're going to be looking at what have you got down here. And you're looking for at least a reasonable plane of roots. Well, it's not going to be at this height, so we'll get rid of that one. That's a very straight root. I like this little one. But we've got quite a conglomeration down here. I don't think that's where the tree is going to be. So I might well actually remove below there. Okay, so we've definitely down this point here, we've got it narrowing quite substantially. I'm definitely going to cut off there regardless. So we'll get in there and cut from there. Okay, and it's funny how your material can suddenly get a lot less. Let's clean up this more. Okay, we're still relatively okay. What I want is the area that's got the best movement. So we've got these down here. If we're looking at the soil line being there, we get rid of that. We've got this, so we'll get rid of that, because that's definitely tapering in a lot. Which means we're gonna, don't like this straight root, but we can build from it, I think. Gosh, I've taken a lot off. Let me look at it more. Okay, well I've removed a few more roots. I'm looking at potentially having to put it on an angle we've got some roots down here, but ideally I want it to balance between those. So the front could still be in there somewhere, but I'm going to also plant it quite deep. Again, I'm looking to promote more roots. Again, the thing to do is always make sure the roots that you have got there are spread out. And I think this really is a great example of why it is so important when you first dig a tree to do that major root work, to get the buttress of the roots that you're going to keep. And remember, they're going to be quite in tight. These things will sprout roots from quite limited material. And I've learnt over the years that better to go hard early on with something you've dug up, and you know, hey, 1 in every 5 it doesn't make it, than go be conservative and then end up with a root setup that's just really awkward and really difficult to then bring back in. Because, you know, as we've said many times, once you've got it to this size, all the energy in the reserves have already been used in trying to get the tree to recover. You know, I'm very, very happy about this. I still think we've got a nice little trunk, and a couple of years in this with lots of feed. I expect the growth that comes from this will be, you know, out here, certainly a good couple of feet. I want loads of energy and strength going to root production, and the only way we're going to get that is by letting whatever shoots come out just shoot for the sky. So there we go. I'm still looking fronts probably in here, and just remember that is ultimately potentially going to be the sacrifice branch that's going to be healing that. I don't like that junction at all. We'll see how that goes. Monitor it, basically fertilise it a lot, and just let it go nuts. And maybe, I imagine, the next time we'll really be seeing this is in the autumn, when hopefully I'll be cutting a load of growth off. Okay, well, there was also the spruce, which I think I mentioned in part 1, to be fair. Not going to go over it again. I know some people do repots of spruce now, not saying that's wrong, but I'm certainly going down the lines that Harry Harrington, a good UK bonsai specialist, has been following. A number of species he talks about doing in the late summer, early autumn. So that's when this will get done. But it has got some wire on it. What I do need to do is make sure that wire doesn't scar. Whether we're getting the buds, we've got some big buds up here, so clearly it's all right. But I think the fun with this one is going to be when we see it come out of that tin. There's the maple and all the stuff like that. Now, you'll also know that I got some seedlings from Tony. Namely, I think we had some pines, maybe a larch. Either way, they've all been in the greenhouse over winter. Majority of them seem to be surviving, but if you want to know how they progress, they're going to be subject, gosh, those motorcycles are, they're going to be subject of their own special seed to bonsai, a hobbyist journey. Is that there to the end and back again? A hobbit's tale? Sound too much like that?
There and back again. A Hobbit's Tale by Bilbo Baggins.
Anyway, that's enough of that. So, from Xavier and the second part of the Tony Legacy Bonsai Special, Spring 2024, so thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy seeing updates on these trees, then make sure to smack a big like. I'll keep going with these as long as you want me to. And if you think anyone else would love to see how Tony's trees are getting on, then make sure you share it, whether it be on a little special Facebook group or WhatsApp or whatever those social media things are. And please, if you haven't subscribed, then humbly I ask you to do so. And I'll hopefully continue to make some great content. Well, passable content anyway. And I'm looking forward to the new weekend because I've got some more of my sponsored benches to build. So, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.